Hey guys, I just wanted to jump in quickly before the video starts and say a huge thanks to everyone for how crazy good my last 3 videos have done, viewers wise, likes wise. I'll try and keep videos coming as consistently as I can. I hope you enjoy this one. Alright guys, let's get into it. So this is floor stacking, very consistent way of doing it. Just follow what I do here basically. Obviously in a live server you'll need a teammate helping you knock this stuff out. This is definitely not a starter kind of base, so you want to have a base up. The way we did it is had a nice base with the compound next to the place we wanted to build until we were at the point where we could focus on getting the main up. That worked pretty well, having a shooting floor overlooking me while I was building. Made it a lot safer, a lot easier. So with floor stacking you can get different kind of heights. The height you want is to be able to place a below and then upper floor. That shows that you have the perfect, from my experience, it shows you have the perfect stack. From that point on, there is a lot of building and destroying. You be able to place a TC in the middle here while you're building it that you can later destroy. That'll make it a lot easier when you have to demolish all this stuff. Obviously, you won't want to be running around having to knock all this out individually with a tool or a gun or something of that sort. At this point, you're just grabbing the height for the lower stack. There are only the squares that are actually the lower level. Once you've done that, you have to add triangles to be able to remove the squares and do your multi-TC component of the base. It is 9 squares out and then half moons back. I'll show you the first one and then I'll fast forward through the rest because this is probably the most lengthy part of building the base. But it's very simple, just like that. Once you've done the first one, you obviously have to go through and do the next 6. I've just skipped to the end of doing the last one, the next 5, sorry. Then you're simply sealing it in basically and connecting all the foundations. Next, you get rid of the triangles so you can complete the multi-TC connection. That should be what your foundation looks like. Then you can start doing the high wall foundations, which is the compound made out of actual walls. Again, just watch the first one and then rinse and repeat that the 6 times around. Once you've done that, it should look something like that. You can then go ahead and start upgrading. Of course, with this base, I'd recommend you build it probably more than once on a build server before you try and do this on a live server, just to make sure you can get everything done properly, because there are certain things coming up that you will need to know how to do correctly once, because you only have one chance to do it. These are the unlootable loot rooms. They're a pretty common design. They just use the raised boxes on the roof with rugs. So you can leave these open if you're struggling to find rug, but you really just have to run around and hit a few barrels and you should find one. seal in all the honeycomb, and then you can start adding the roofs. Once you've done the roofs, you seal off the other parts of the base and you do your first stack. This will obviously be a bit harder when you're doing it on a server, but all you have to do is crouch on the foundation that you put down first on that triangle, and you should be able to get an angle to place the square. Once you've done that, you can complete the outer honeycomb. I'll continue to fast forward through these repetitive parts of the base because it takes a lot of time to do, and I want to keep the video as short as possible. Once you've done that layer of honeycomb, you can find the part that you want your door to be on. That'll obviously only be on one side. You pick one of the multi-TC connection points, which is the triangles that don't completely connect. Then you do your next layer of roofs. Once you've done that, it should look something like that. Then you can start sealing off your drop-down rooms and adding the TC in the bottom level, which I'd suggest you later move higher up in the base. Now you do the rugs, which allow you to add the boxes on the roofs. Just pause the video where I have the rug here, and you should be able to see you have to place 4 rugs and then place the 2 boxes. Make sure the code lock side of the boxes are both aiming in, so you can add code locks and everyone can get them before you seal the room. Once you've done that, you add a quarter wall on each of the loot rooms and seal them off with HQM. Now, because I'm on a build server, I don't place the TC down here in one of these shop fronts, but what I did was just put the TC in one of these. It is a multi-TC base, so it doesn't really matter if they get TC, but I would move it up higher into the main loot later on. Now you start doing second level, which is again the same as below, which is why I'll fast forward through most of this. All you need to do is pick one square opposite your entrance that will be your entrance to the second floor, or the third floor, sorry. Remember to add triangles before you place the walls, otherwise it will be a real pain getting those in there. Complete the honeycomb all around and then start adding your door frames. Because of floor stacking, it'll help if you have quite a few garage doors crafted before you start building the base, so you can place them down at the correct time so you don't block yourself from being able to place them once you stack the roof. I personally didn't stack the second floor because I didn't feel that it needed it because of how much higher the base goes. So you seal in your second layer of honeycomb the same way as you did below. Add these triangles, which will give you just extra stability, and then seal off your first layer, as I said, not floor stacked. So you'll see these little gaps here between the triangles and the lower roof, but those will be covered by walls, so it's nothing to worry about. I believe I show an example here of why you need to have doors crafted. If you seal off certain or you stack certain parts of the base, you will no longer be able to place a door there. As I show here, if you place your floor, you can't place a garage door. Add all the garage doors for the first level. And go up to the third level. This base utilizes ladder hatches, so it's helpful if you have them learned or you just get a lot from Rig and other places. You need to place the garage door first before you place the second higher ladder hatch. Then start your third layer of honeycomb. Now, your third floor will be bed floor. So the honeycomb is much the same, but you leave the triangles to put lockers in. And opposite the square, same to the level below, you add your next entrance to the floor going up. Now this is a pretty simple unlootable locker system. It also saves a lot of space and means that the walls that they are placed in are still honeycomb. It is a half wall, you delete the bottom and then add a quarter wall. Sometimes, because of the stack, you'll have to go behind to add them, so just make sure you haven't sealed off the roof yet, otherwise you'll be in a bit of trouble. Once you've done that, you can seal off the last bit of the honeycomb, which will also seal the gap off there. Now you want to go through and add all your wall frames and the dividing wall between both of the sides of the bed floor. Seal in the triangles so the honeycomb is even stronger. Now this floor I do stack, so you repeat the same thing as you did on the floors below, which is going off the lower wall. Once you've done that, you'll need to go below and start stacking the roofs. The good thing with this is you will be able to add the roofs and then you'll be able to, or the floors, and then you'll be able to add the garage doors. So if you don't have them on hand straight away, that's fine. As I'll show here, you can place them straight through the floor. Once you add all your doors, you can go through and place your beds. The layout of this base is largely personal preference. I like it because I can move the loot rooms and bed floors to different levels as much as I'd like. Going on to the main loot floor with the layout that I'm using in this design. You want to make sure that you leave one of the squares opposite to go up, which I forgot to do there, but luckily we're on a build server. And you want to make this floor HQM. finish the honeycomb as you've done on all the other previous levels. Add the first stack here, as you can see, and the layout that I use is vending machines, so you do windows all the way around and seal them off. This is where I would put TC. If you haven't done your outer TCs yet, you can just shoot out the one below or have it on a twig foundation and then move it up to this floor before you do your outers. Add all the door frames that you need. And then seal off the honeycomb, same as you've done for the rest of the levels. Once you've done that, you can start doing your first stack. I would do this in HQM because this is your main loot and it is higher up in the base, so the threat of top downing is mitigated a lot because of how many how many floors they'd have to go through, and you'd hopefully have a lot of turrets on the roof that would make anyone think twice about top downing. Add your doors and your ladder hatches going up. Sealing the triangles. Going up to the final floor, which will be your peaks and your shooting floor. There is less honeycomb on this floor because I use a design that Imphy showed in his base that gives you a lot of access to the roof via different peaks. These garage doors, which will lead to your peaks and shooting floor, you'll need to place before you add any floor stacks. Now, I made a little mistake here as far as the order or the way that I did the center part, but you'll be able to tell how I do it. Then doing your floor stack for the top floor, it's exactly the same as the floors below. Finish sealing off all the floor stacking. As you can see here, I fixed my mistake. All you need is one garage door. Once you've done that, you can start doing your roof peaks after you've sealed off the whole roof. That is simply just quarter walls and half walls and then triangle roofs. Now that you've got the core done, you want to do your triangle dividers, I would call them, going up, which will divide your peaks and your inner core into different sections. Again, as I said in the showcase video, that will just funnel anyone who attempts to raid through the side into one section of the base instead of allowing them to control the entire inner core. Now you can start doing your outer layer, which I did in stone here. And start working your way all the way up. Again, at this point I'd just like to say, you should definitely go on a build server and play around with this a few times, change things, do the order a bit differently maybe if you think it works better. It obviously isn't a very quick base, it will take an hour or two to build on a live server, so you want to make sure that you have the order down right and that you won't be making any mistakes as you go. Now you add frames for your roofs that do your shooting floor. The peaks are again something that you can play around with however you feel is better. The peaks in this base are not anything special, but again I would suggest that you play around with it when you build the base and find what works for you. Once you've done that, you can finish sealing off the floor stack on the roof stack on the roof, which will be the final level. Seal off the gaps with quarter walls, and the roof is basically done. Now you move on to the shooting floor, which is very self-explanatory, so I will just let it play. Once you've done the roofs, you need to seal off the inner peaks, which you want to make sure you don't connect to either of the wall frames or door frames, because they are the different sides of the multi-TCs, and that can cause TCs to destroy themselves. Once you've done the roof, you move on to doing the outer TCs, which are very simple. These you can do at the beginning of the design to make sure no one can come along and grief you while you're building. I did them later because I forgot, so I'd suggest you do them when you get the original footprint down. Once you do the 6 of those, should look like that, and then you can start doing your high walls. Once you've done that, you make your entrances, which are again pretty self-explanatory. Do the small shooting peaks area on the tops, and then you can start doing the jump ups. This is really personal preference. You could do this however you wanted to. It's completely up to you. Do that on the remaining 5 and you'll be good to go. Once you've done that, you can add your roofs. And barricades to seal off the top from ladders. These are not really meant to prevent people from laddering over, but you want to make sure you add these little half walls as well. At this point you hopefully have turrets that would prevent anyone from getting inside. At this point you're pretty much done. You're left to doing another layer of high walls if you'd like to, and adding the roofs on top of the base itself. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll try and keep new stuff coming as often as I can. Thanks for watching.